So when the Department of Justice dropped that massive trove of documents on Jeffrey Epstein, everybody was bracing for shocking details about the rich and powerful. And, well, we got them. But one of the wildest, most viral stories to come out of the whole thing didn't start with a flight log or a private email. It started with a video game.
Right. This is the question that just completely took over the internet. You know that famous meme? Well, it suddenly took on this brand new, very literal meaning for thousands of people. They became convinced that not only was his death faked, but that he was alive, well, and maybe, just maybe, still gaming. So today we're going to unpack exactly how this unbelievably wild theory got started.
Okay, but before we dive into the conspiracy, you gotta understand where this all came from. So what even are the Epstein files? Basically, it was a gigantic data dump from the Department of Justice, all released under this new Transparency Act. And when I say gigantic, I mean it. We are talking about over 3 million pages of documents. It was just this fire hose of information. So much stuff that no single person could possibly read it all, which, as you can imagine, created the perfect storm for tiny little details to be pulled out and completely blown out of proportion. I mean, the files have everything. You've got the really serious stuff, like emails with powerful people and testimony from his staff. But then you've also got this flood of totally unproven tips that random people sent to the FBI. It's this messy mix of the concrete and the, let's just say, highly speculative, all bundled together. And buried deep inside all that data was a subplot that nobody saw coming. So, yeah, the biggest theory to explode out of these files didn't come from a secret ledger or a famous name. It all started when the documents revealed this secret life that apparently nobody knew Epstein had. He was a gamer. And the files paint this surprisingly detailed picture. He gets an Xbox Live account back in 2012. It's active for over a year before Microsoft permanently bans it because they were doing this big sweep to remove registered sex offenders from their platform. But then, and this is the key part, just 3 months before his death in 2019, a document shows a purchase for V-Bucks, which is the in-game money for Fortnite. And that Fortnite purchase was linked to a YouTube subscription receipt that was also in the files. And on that receipt was a very specific username, Littlest Jeff 1. This one tiny, seemingly meaningless detail, well, it was about to become the heart of a global conspiracy theory. Because, of course, as soon as that username was out there, internet sleuths did what they do best. They plugged Littlest Jeff 1 into these online stat tracking websites for Fortnite, and what they found was, honestly, pretty shocking. An account with that exact name was showing recent gameplay, well into 2025, years after Epstein was officially dead. And that was it. That one single data point was the spark. It landed on this huge pile of dry kindling and just ignited this firestorm of speculation. It combined with other bits and pieces of so-called evidence to build this compelling and frankly unbelievably viral theory that Jeffrey Epstein faked his own death. The whole theory really stood on 4 main pillars. First, you had the active Fortnite account, and people were posting screenshots claiming it was logging in from Israel. Second, this old 4chan post from a supposed prison guard resurfaced. Third, brand new photos started popping up that allegedly showed Epstein just walking around free in Tel Aviv. And finally, people were putting his post-mortem photos side by side with old ones, pointing out all these suspicious differences in his face. And that quote right there, that's from the 4chan post, which was actually made the morning of his death. The DOJ documents later identified the anonymous poster as a real officer at the prison named Roberto Grijalva. So his claim that he saw Epstein being driven away the night before, that was treated like an insider bombshell. It gave the whole he's alive theory this feeling of, actual credibility. So you put all that evidence together and you can see why the theory felt so convincing. But how does it actually hold up when you really start to scrutinize it? Well, let's take a clear look and break down each of these claims one by one. All right, so the first domino to fall was the Fortnite account. And the real explanation shows you just how easily this stuff happens. Epic Games, the company that makes Fortnite, they put out a statement. It was a hoax. Just some random player who thought it would be funny to change their username to Littlest Jeff 1 after the documents came out. The company also confirmed they have zero record of any of Epstein's known emails in their entire system. Okay, next up, the photo. That image that was supposed to be him in Tel Aviv, fact checkers jumped on that immediately, and yeah, it was debunked pretty fast. They identified it as an AI-generated fake. They even found a digital watermark from Google's Gemini AI on some of the versions, and pointed out all these weird inconsistencies in the background that proved it wasn't a real photo.
And finally, we have the most morbid claim, that the body in the morgue photos wasn't actually him. Now, it's true his face looked different, but medical experts point out that's completely normal because of natural swelling after death. But here's the real kicker. A forensic pathologist, hired by Epstein's own brother, was there for the autopsy, and he confirmed that the fingerprints on the body were a perfect match to Jeffrey Epstein's fingerprints from a 2006 arrest.
So, with the whole theory pretty thoroughly debunked, what's the big takeaway here? This whole episode really wasn't just about Epstein. It's a perfect case study in the anatomy of a modern hoax, and just how fast misinformation can travel in the world we live in today. What happened here follows a pattern that's actually been studied. If you look at this chart from academic research, it shows the volume of tweets for fake death reports. You can see the spike in chatter for a fake death looks almost identical to the spike for a real one. For the average person scrolling online, it's incredibly hard to tell the difference in real time. And this is not a new internet thing, not at all. Researchers have been studying celebrity death hoaxes for years. Some public figures have been declared dead online over a dozen times. The Epstein theory, it was just way more complex, but it tapped into that same existing pattern of online behavior. It blended a super high-profile case with our natural impulse to share shocking news. So it really leaves us with this final and I think crucial question. In a world with AI-generated images, out-of-context data, and viral hoaxes flying around, the real challenge isn't just about finding information anymore, it's about validating it. In a storm of claims and counterclaims, figuring out what's real has never been more difficult or more important.